What's going on, world? Welcome back to another episode of Disciple Principles. You are now tuned in to episode 25, and we're halfway there to 50. Can't believe it. Time is really flying, but I'm definitely grateful for this journey that I'm walking down with you all. And in this episode, I'm going to discuss the importance of having a written budget and also the value of tracking your net worth over time. So I know having a budget is so vital because it creates the foundation when it comes to your spending habits. It allows you to be able to have control of your spending habits and to be able to see where your money is going and where is leaving out and how much you're making over time. And with your income, of course, that's the money that you're bringing in, and the money that's going out is your expenses. And it also gives you a way to give yourself percentages on what you want to spend every month in a particular category, what you want to invest, and also how you would like to save your money over time. Now, I'm going to explain the importance both of the budget and also tracking your net worth. And then I also created two great examples on a Microsoft Excel sheet to kind of walk you through that process so you can have an understanding of being able to do it yourself. So I definitely think that that will be valuable, and you'll be able to kind of get an idea of exactly what details when it comes to a budget. So I wanted to give you some statistics before I start, just so you can kind of put it in perspective of why you need to have a budget. So when it comes to personal finance, having a budget is so important because it allows you to be able to build great habits. And that's all a budget is. It's allowing you to be able to develop an essential personal finance habit that would allow you to see where your money is going. So according to debt.com, only 32% of Americans have a household budget. Only 32%. And only 30% of Americans have a long-term financial plan that includes savings and retirement. And also only 39% of Americans have enough savings to cover $1,000 emergency. So that's almost a little more than, let's say, 45% of Americans that don't have $1,000 to cover an emergency. So that is definitely a statistic that I seen that was pretty shocking. Now, when it comes to retirement statistics, more than 27% of Americans have no retirement savings, and 28.6% of Americans have less than $10,000. So this kind of gives you a reason why it's important to have a written budget, and why you need to be precise on setting that expectation within your household, especially if you have a family or even if you're single. Building a foundation and successful personal finance habits is what's going to allow you to take more control of your money over time. So it's important to have a written budget and definitely make sure that you're doing it monthly on a consistent basis. Now, I was told that personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge, meaning the behaviors that you implement in your life, the decisions, the actions that you take on a consistent basis is what's going to determine the success of your personal finances or the failure. 20% is knowledge. You don't have to have a finance degree to understand how to put together a accurate budget for yourself or for your family. Now, when it comes to tracking your finances, like I said, it's not only about building a productive habit, but it's also being able to set that principle, that foundation that allows you to build everything else around that, where you have the control of where your money is going and also how it is coming in. So budgeting is so important. It's definitely a principle that you need to have when you're implementing it in your personal finances. And a budget, it gives you also the ability to look at the percentages of where your money is going in each category. So such as housing, food, gas, insurance, whatever it is, you set a percentage to how much you want your money to go to that specific category, and you don't spend over it. And that's all comes with discipline. You have to be able to discipline yourself And I'm going to kind of give you some tips and some strategies on how you can kind of discipline yourself and putting yourself in the best position where you can have control over your budget. Now, essentially, a budget is a tool that holds you accountable with your personal finances. It allows you to be able to know how much you're going to put into a particular category and stand behind it. And the discipline is so important because if you're overspending in your budget, it may hinder you in other areas in your category. It may, hinder you when it comes to using that extra money that you could have kept to invest or to save. So I wanted to give you some tips on what you can do when developing your budget. And the first one is you want to acquire your financial statements. So I'm talking about your paycheck stubs. If you have access to that online, that's perfectly fine. As long as you have access to pulling that information up, you want to be able to look at your bank statements, look at the income that you're making on your bank account, looking at all of your expenses, your investment accounts. If you have a brokerage account, your 1099s, your mortgage statements or rent, credit card, and student loan bills. All this information is important because it determines your income and your expenses over time. You also want to calculate your take-home pay. So you want to look at your monthly income that you get after taxes are taken out. You want to look at your gross, so the money that you actually keep, the money that is coming home in your household after all the taxes have been taken out from your job. If you have a variable income, such as if you're a freelancer or if you're self-employed, it would be wise to look at your lowest earning month of income and using that as a baseline for your personal finances. And it's important to do that because you don't want to overestimate if you're self-employed and say you're making $5,000 a month with on your lowest end month is $3,000, just to make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position to giving yourself the assurance that all of your expenses are covered. I want to say that it's wise to make sure if you're self-employed or freelancer, look at taking your lowest earning month because it gives you that baseline. And you can always work yourself up from there if you have anything extra did better on that specific month. You also want to create a list of monthly expenses. So you may have car payments, you may have mortgage payments, or if you pay rent, if you have a family, you may have childcare, you may pay for schooling. If you have insurance, savings, travel, student loans, all of that will be in this category. Now, the next step is you also want to determine your variable and fixed expenses. Now, when it comes to your variable expenses, these are the type of expenses that vary from month to month. So let's say your groceries, the gas you put in your car, entertainment, going out, all of this will fluctuate month to month. Your fixed expenses are the expenses that stay the same each and every month. So like your mortgage or your car payment, your insurance premium, all of that will be a fixed expense. And it's smart to assign yourself a spending value to each category, beginning with your fixed expenses and then determining how much you would need for your variable expenses. Because 9 times out of 10, your fixed expenses will be a lot higher than your variable expenses. So you'll have the ability to be able to look at, okay, the fixed expenses are covered. Now, what do we have left over from that can go to variable expenses? The next tip is you want to total your monthly income, and then also you want to total your expenses monthly as well. And the goal is you want to always look at how you can maximize your income and have the lowest possible expenses as possible. And that way, the money that you have left over, it allows you to invest or save in other areas. So, a good method that I reviewed online is the 50-30-20 budget. And pretty much how that breaks down is 50% will be for your required expenses, 30% will be for your expenses that are wants, and then the 20% is going to be for saving and investing. Now, a rule of thumb that I kind of thought of as I was coming up with this content for this episode is that 30% in the 50-30-20 budget, that 30% can actually be split in three ways. So I'm a big proponent of being able to give back, giving tithes. I know when you look at the Bible, if you read the Bible, the Lord, he always encourages that you spend a tenth of your earnings. So I would say you could take 10% of that 30 to go towards tithes. 10% can go towards your debt repayments. And then the other 10% can go towards your wants. So your entertainment, you're going out. So that way that 20% that's left over, you can use that strictly for investing and saving, because most likely you want to invest 15 to 20% of your income. Most people that are millionaires, they invest 15 to 20% of their income, sometimes even higher. I would even say try to strive for 25%, because African Americans, it tends to take us a lot longer to save and invest over time because we start late. So you want to shoot higher. Now, of course, all of these different areas may vary, in a specific category, depending on your particular situation. If you have more debt, you may want to focus on 20% for that month on taking your debt and getting it down, and maybe 15% or 10% to investments. But you want to make sure that you have an equal balance. So that's my opinion. But you also have, your ability. Everyone's circumstance is going to be different. So definitely decide what works best in your particular situation. Now, the next step is you want to make adjustments to your expenses. So if your expenses are higher than the income that you're bringing in monthly, one way to balance this is you can look at your variable expenses. A lot of times variable expenses can be our wants. And if you can reduce that down and say, okay, I'm not going to eat out as much this month, or I'm not going to spend as much on entertainment, or even eliminating the categories such as a Netflix subscription. All of that can help you to be able to make that adjustment so you can have enough income to cover your expenses for that month. So, the way I tend to do my budgeting, I have a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. That's what I would recommend for you. There also is a great app called Personal Capital, which it allows you to put a budget on there as well. And it also allows you to track your net worth, where you're able to look at all of your income and expenses. It tracks each financial transaction that you make, so you constantly get notifications saying if your net worth went up or if it went down. And one great thing about it is you can attach all of your logins for your bank account, for your investment account, for where you pay your mortgage. It combines all of that information, and it allows you to be able to develop a budget, and you also can track your net worth. So that's an app if you want to use that one. I'll also put it in the show notes so you can be able to download it. Now, with the budgeting spreadsheet, you want to be able to record what you spend throughout the month, and that will keep you from overspending, and it helps you to be able to identify unnecessary expenses or problematic spending patterns. So kind of like what I mentioned previously, if you see that you're spending a lot of money on going out every weekend, eating out, spending a lot on entertainment, traveling, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you take the correct steps to make that adjustment so you don't overspend. Now, you also have what's called an envelope system, which is great. I know a lot of people are a big proponents of that, and that's a great way of where you can divide your cash into each envelope, and you can have different spending categories, and you can put percentages for each envelope. And the money that you have in the envelope, once that money is gone, you have to stop spending in that particular category. So if you set $200 for the month for groceries, once that $200 cash is gone from the envelope, don't spend no more of your money. And that keeps you disciplined. That's one strategy that can keep you disciplined. The next thing that I wanted to go over was your net worth. Now, this process is important because it allows you to be able to track your wealth. It allows you to track the wealth that accumulates over time. It also allows you to hit your financial goals, and it also gives you the ability to stay focused. Now, the individuals that become millionaires, they have a plan and they focus on building their net worth on a consistent basis. So I want to give you some great reasons on why you should focus on building your net worth and why it's beneficial for you. First, it gives you an overview of your financial health. And it allows you to be more, it's also a significant indicator when you compare it to just looking at your income. Most people, they tend to pay more attention to their income rather than focus on building their net worth over time. Because once you focus on your net worth and you look at ways of acquiring more assets, your income's automatically going to go up. So you want to focus on the assets more than focusing on your income specifically. And another reason is your net worth. It emphasizes the decisions you make with your investments. So diversification and managing your risk, they all play a role with managing your investments, and it can either be for the good or for the bad. Now, it can either rise or it can either lower your net worth. So take the time to educate yourself and when it comes to your money and also your investments, and seek out advice from a financial advisor so you're able to minimize your errors and being able to increase your net worth over time. Now, looking at your net worth is also motivation for eliminating any debt that you have, because it plays a tremendous role in having a positive net worth. When you see it on a spreadsheet and you see that amount that you have in student loan debt, in credit card debt, in mortgage debt, it kind of lights a fire in you when you're like, hey, this is really playing a role in my net worth. I need to look at ways of how I can elevate my income, looking at ways of bringing in more assets and paying this debt down so I can have a positive net worth. And I know also, it can truly have an impact when it comes to your financial decisions. So when you increase your contributions with your 401k, let's say you also have a Roth, IRA as well on the side with your career, all of this is going to have a positive impact on your net worth. If you have bad financial habits and you're spending your money all the time, you're not saving any money, it's going to decrease your net worth. So just like your budget, tracking your net worth, it allows you to be accountable so you can make wise financial decisions so you can be able to build wealth over time. So I wanted to go ahead and share my screen with you all so I can show you my Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. First, we're going to go over the process of building a personal budget. So I'm going to share my screen with you all right now. So as you can see here, I have the personal budget analysis. You can see with the income, we have the earned income, the salary is $10,000 for this hypothetical example. You can see the total earned, then the unearned is good because it allows you to see any interest, dividends, rental income, assets sold. You can see the totals there, and this brings it to a total of $17,500, and that's the gross monthly income. And you just take the total earned and you add your unearned. And then I have my tithing, my savings, and also my investments. So you can see here with tithing, charitable giving, it's $875 for that, and also church donations brings it to a total of $1,750. Savings, cash reserve is $3,000, and investments came to a total of $8,000 between the IRAs, the stocks and bonds, and the real estate. And these are negative values because this is money that's going out essentially. So this number is what you're going to minus from your growth monthly income, which gives you the total of $4,750, which is pretty much, I took all of this and then I minused it from the gross monthly income. So next, we're going to go over expenses. As you can see here, housing, everything that you can think of under housing is written down with the mortgage, insurance, electricity, gas, water, cable, brings it to a total of $1,740. And then for food, you see it's $200 for groceries, automotive. For the automobile, you have, the payments, the gas, insurance, $480 is the total for that. Insurance, life, medical, disability, what gives you a total insurance of $120, and then also your debt service, which is the credit card, student loans, brings it to $450. You can see the totals here for the school and the child care. And you're going to take all of those expenses and you're going to add them up, and you get $3,000, $140. And that amount you're going to minus from the other value that we put, which is the net spendable income. This is the money that you have left over. And once you take that two different values and subtract them, you get $1,000. You get $1,610 for the monthly discretionary income. So this is additional money that you can either put in an emergency fund, you can invest more, you can just essentially put the money away instead of, splurging it. Now, I like to have categories, and, kind of like what I was mentioning, with the envelope system. You can put categories either on an Excel spreadsheet, or you can do actual physical envelopes. And you want to put totals of, honestly, what you're going to budget for that month. So you may tell yourself, okay, for food, I don't want to spend over $205. And then in the envelope, you can put either $200 or $205. And you don't want to spend over your budget amount. And you just want to tally these numbers of, okay, for gas that month, I spent $100. Personal care, I spent $50. So this just keeps you very organized and concise. Now, the next that I wanted to explain is tracking the net worth. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up next, and we're going to go over the spreadsheet with tracking the net worth. So as you can see here, you have a personal balance sheet, which essentially that's really all it is when you're tracking your net worth. You're looking at your assets and liabilities. When you look at companies that have balance sheets, they're looking at their assets that they bring into the company, and then they're looking at their liabilities. So as you can see here with the personal budget sheet, we have a list of all of the assets. And then as you can see from the tabs above it, you have what you did what this individual did January 1st of last year. They had $50,000 in their retirement account. January 1st of this year, they had $75,000, which was an annual percentage increase of 50%, which brings it to a total of $85,000 of as far as what they have at this current moment. All these numbers I made up. Now, with the annual percentage increase, a lot of times you can figure out that amount through your brokerage account. They show you the annual increase for all of the funds that you're investing in. So that can allow you to be able to come up with that number. And then the year-to-date percentage increase, the way I was able to calculate that number is, if you can see there to the right, there's a year-to-date formula percentage. And what I did was I took my starting value, which is the 75,000, and then I minused it by the current value, which is 85,000, and I divided it again by the 75,000. And that's how I was able to get that 13%. With equity investments, you see the $10,000 for January 1st of last year. You see the $12,000 of this year, 20% annual increase, 13,000, and then the year-to-date is 8%. And that just kind of gives you an idea of, how, especially people that are on track to becoming millionaires, they use this type of process where they're tracking everything that they are bringing in on an annual basis, and they're looking at their assets, and they're looking at continuous ways of how they can increase their net worth. And it's always good to see that year-to-date increase so you can see the progress that you're making over time. So as you can see here, the total equity investments, $161,000, and then the current is $214,600, and it gives you that year-to-date increase. The cash savings, that's also good to have that information listed. You can see the insurance, personal property, real estate investments, and then you have these total assets at the bottom. And you can see the current total is $560,200, $560,000 $200, which is an 8% year-to-date increase of their total assets. So this person hypothetically is, halfway of becoming a millionaire. They're half a millionaire, and they're almost there. And with the liabilities, that's important as well. That's what tracks the net worth also, which allows you to be able to take that into consideration. And you can see here there is some amounts with the car loans and then the credit card debt. And you can see the annual, and it's not really an annual increase, it's decreasing. But the positive of your liabilities is you want to be able to track your debt so you can be focused on getting it down. As you can see here, this individual was able to increase it year by year. And with the current totals, they're even lower. And that's the importance of it. You want to be able to track your debt, and you want to be able to decrease it down lower and lower annually, month to month, on a consistent basis. You look at the total liabilities. Their liabilities currently has went down tremendously. And then at the bottom, you get to see that net worth. So you get to see, okay, what is their current net worth? $490,000, $950. And it's 21% annual increase. You typically want this number to be positive. If you have more debt than you have assets, it's going to be a negative number. So this definitely allows you to stay motivated and on track of hitting your financial goals. And then at the bottom is pretty much just the annual cash flow, the earned income that you're making on a monthly basis. You're able to track that as well. And then also the unearned. So I hope this episode was very helpful with just giving you insight on the importance of having a written budget and also tracking your net worth over time. As always, if you all can please like, subscribe, and share this video, that would be greatly appreciated. Continue to spread this message of financial literacy to your family and also your friends. I'm also going to put my Linktree in the notes, which has all of my information from being able to have access to listening to this through all my audio outlets, and then as well as my Patreon page, which is exclusive content that I have created for my audience, where you're able to financially support this channel, this podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. It's a lot of great tiers on there where I have one-on-one financial planning Zoom calls where I kind of just give some good insight on different financial decisions and trying to at least guide you in the right path. Also, I have created a mastermind group also within that Patreon where it's pretty much a entrepreneurial ecosystem of like-minded individuals that are entrepreneurs, that are business owners, that are looking to wanting to gain insight when it comes to their finances and just want to have different ideas shared amongst a group of just positivity. And then also I have bonus episodes and early access episodes to all of my content. So definitely take a look at my Patreon page. I definitely think you will get tremendous value out of that as well. And I just want to tell you all, thank you so much for watching this video and take care.